Hi guys, in this video I'm going to walk you through this neon assignment. You are supposed to have already watched the paths video. If you haven't done so, please watch it before you start with this. And you can find the settings of this assignment on my site as well. So let's take a look at what we are going to do in this lesson. If we notice here on the neon effect, there are several things that we need to accomplish. The first one is that we need white strokes, right? Outside those white strokes, we have a color stroke that surrounds that white stroke. And finally, we have an outer glow to give that effect, like the light effect. Another thing that you may notice is that these drawings are not closed shapes and they are not continuous paths, right? They are intermittent because that is the effect that we are trying to accomplish. So those are the details that we need to take care of so our effect turns out right. And we have two options for that. If you saw on the tutorial, when I click on the pen tool, I have the option to either create a path and a shape. We saw the difference, right? The path, I can stroke the path, I can fill it with a color, and on the shape, I can customize the fill and the color at the same time. With the path, I'm able to create raster shapes, and with the shape, I will create vector shapes. Let me explain you the difference so you can understand more. I will click here on the path. Let me add first a solid color, black, yes, solid color layer. I will put it in the back, and I would add another layer that will help me to create my shape starting with a path. Let me open my path panel. So I will do a simple triangle. Let me trace it in here. But I will not close the triangle because we want to leave this gap for the neon effect. So if you see here on the paths, automatically a path layer is created, right? After I do my path, now I need to set the properties of my brush. So I will go to my brush, set it to a hard round brush, size 12, that's okay. The color white, those will be the properties of my brush. And then on a clean new layer, I will click in stroke path, okay? We can do that first effect, the neon effect. But what happens after you stroke the path? Yes, you can go back. So with your direct selection tool, you can modify the path and then stroke it again, right? That is not complicated. But what we are creating here are raster images. That means that if I want to resize this image, it will get pixelated because we just created a raster stroke, and we don't want that. What we want is something that it doesn't get pixelated. It's not pixel constrained. Okay, so for this assignment, instead of stroking the path with a brush, we are going to create shapes. So the process will be the same. I will grab my pen tool, but instead of path, I will click shape. Okay, then I will remove the fill and I will set the stroke to white. 10 to 12 pixels will do, but we can change this later. Okay, now I don't even have to add a new layer because every time that I trace something, it will get its own separate layer. So if I take the same example of the triangle, take a look at the layers panel, a layer was already created, I can start tracing my shape, okay? After that, I can increase the size of the stroke if I want to, and if I want to modify the path, then with my direct selection tool, I can do it without having to stroke the path every time that I want to make a change. This is the reason that we are using this technique for this assignment instead of stroking the path, okay? So what are you going to do? Very simple. You will place the image that you will use as a reference. This is the one that I chose, and I think it will look very interesting after I finish with the color combination. So how are you going to start? Very simple. We will grab the pen tool. We will set the properties to shape. No fill, stroke white, approximately 10 pixels. Yes. If you want some contrast, change the stroke to a different color. You can change it to white later. And after that, you simply are going to start tracing your shapes, okay? If you need to modify your shape, delete anchor points, or convert them into curves, remember you have all the options that we saw in the other video. I will press A to activate my direct selection tool, and this way I will be able to manipulate my handles and the anchor points, okay? So I will continue doing all this. You don't have to create new layers because they are added automatically. If you want to continue tracing the other, just press enter to deactivate that shape, press P, and continue creating the rest of the lines, okay? Press enter to deactivate and then continue with the others. Don't forget that we need to leave spaces. So for example, here in this drawing that I have, I am not going to connect this one with this one. I will start a little bit more here, and maybe I will choose some parts of my drawing, in this case, like here. I will not continue tracing because I want to leave a gap. So with my direct selection tool, I am going to perfect these tracing, okay? Remember, this type of lines and tracings and all that take time. So that's what we are going to take, okay? Once I finish this part, I press Enter P and I can continue, okay? And adding more lines. You can leave gaps wherever you want. I can leave the gap until there, and then I can start the next line. Okay, so with patience, you will continue doing all the lines. Once you finish, just hide this layer. Okay, you can select all the shapes. Let me lock this layer. You can select all the shapes at the same time, so you can change the properties of them together. You change them to white, and this is the first part that you are going to turn in, okay? A JPEG with all your white tracings.